My friends, this is a great time to become a channel member. Every week now I'm posting uncensored videos exclusively for my channel members, along with custom emojis and live streams for members at the arch-villain level where you get to talk to me directly. Please consider supporting this channel by clicking the link in the video description and joining us in our fight to save pop culture. And also, check out our Patreon and Subscribe-Star pages for exclusive content you won't find anywhere else, including Harvey Cthulhu's insane podcasts, photos of my vast toy collection, and members at the Legionnaire level receive a signed photo, membership card, and certificate signed by me. You'll find the Patreon link in the video description as well. Thanks for watching, my friends, and now on to the video. Greetings, my friends. I am Dictor Van Doomcock, the future ruler of Earth, broadcasting from my hidden base at the center of the Earth. And I'm here today because I have seen Alien Earth, and I was stunned by what I saw. I was not expecting anything like this from Disney. I was impressed. I was intrigued. I was entertained. And if I had all the episodes, I would have binged them. Like many, when I heard that Fox under Disney was going to make an Alien TV show, I figured it would be watered down, Disney-fied, turned into lame-ass PG-13 tripe. And I could not be more delighted to say that I was wrong. In my honest opinion, out of all the various Alien movies and spin-offs that have been made, I would rank this as number 3, behind Alien and Aliens. While it is not perfect, the first 2 episodes are so good at creating an atmosphere that felt very much like the original film, the defects in plot and execution really didn't make much of an impact on me. Funny thing is, the other day on Pop Culture Breakdown, I was just shaking my head in despair over Fantastic Four, and I said how tired I am of getting Disney bad reviews. I'm really tired of it, and at one point in desperation, I cried out loud, "Help me, Disney, to help you!" Well, my friends, since Fox is owned by Disney and Hulu is Disney, here's my chance. Alien Earth is an excellent show thus far. It's atmospheric, for the most part it's intelligent, and aside from being a horror story, it's asking some very interesting questions about sentience, consciousness, immortality, AI, and yes, aliens. There are quite a few aliens about in it. Now, I'm going to avoid any spoilers until a section at the end of this review that will be clearly marked as such. Not that I actually have a whole lot to spoil after seeing the first 2 episodes, because I don't have a lot of answers yet, only lots of questions. Anything spoilery will only be the minimum necessary about the general premise for purposes of discussion, not anything to do with plot twists or surprises. We'll go into much more detailed reviews and a debate about the show on Pop Culture Breakdown this Wednesday at 7 Central, 5 Pacific. But for now, in this review, I'll try to convey something of the experience of watching Alien Earth and explain why I think this is a pretty damn intriguing prequel to Alien.
Well, I think the main problem is right there, dude. Nitpicking aside, it's stupid for there to be a prequel to Alien where they come to Earth. It just screws up the whole timeline, dude. If aliens get loose on Earth and the public finds out about them, that really goes against what happens in Alien and definitely screws up Aliens, since Ripley struggles to make people believe her that these aliens exist in the first place.
Yes, absolutely. When I first heard the concept for the show, I figured it was going to suck for exactly the reasons you describe, Harvey. And yet, my friends, I have to tell you, this show is kind of mind-blowing because it truly does seem firmly in the Alien universe. The Nostromo and Alien Earth are unmistakably part of the same universe. The feel is exactly right, the colors, the art direction and designs, hell, even the music, the effects. Everything seems in line with the original movie. Now, I can't tell right now if this thing is going to go south. It's too early to tell that. And please note that I'm only reviewing the first 2 episodes here. So if aliens get out in numbers large enough to be generally known by the public, this whole thing will collapse like a damn house of cards coated with Crisco because it will completely screw up the established canon. But if somehow the corporations are able to deal with the situation quietly and keep the damage down to a minimum, well then, it makes sense as a prequel. In fact, everything I've seen in Alien Earth so far makes sense in the context of the previous movies. Remember in Alien, Ash turns out to be an android prioritizing retrieving a xenomorph for the corporation? It makes sense for the corporation to have prior knowledge that these creatures exist, since they programmed Ash to facilitate retrieval of one. And so, Alien Earth fills in the blanks about how the corporation came to have this knowledge. And Ash, being an android, perfectly meshes with the major subplot of experimentally transferring the consciousness of terminally ill children into android bodies with superior abilities that will never age. For this reason, we get lots of imagery from Peter Pan throughout this show, for these children who will never grow up. Indeed, the title of the first episode is Neverland.
I'm not a cuddly kind of guy, as you know, Doomcock, but even I felt disturbed by seeing terminally ill children taken into a room to lie down next to android bodies and get transferred into those bodies, since what that means is we're seeing these children die.
Yes, well, the idea here is, of course, this particular corporation is helmed by a young Elon Musk-like genius named Boy Cavalier, oddly enough, who is using only terminally ill children for this experiment. The idea here is these kids are going to die anyway, so subjecting them to this experiment, they'll be able to live on in perfect android bodies that will never age or fail, all well and good. And yet the question I have is, how do they know it's really the kids and the androids? Seems much more likely to me the children's brains are being copied digitally onto the hard drives of these androids, their memories, a very convincing simulacrum of their personalities, but unless you can actually transfer their souls, then all you're doing is killing the kids and creating extremely good copies of them. How can you transfer a consciousness when you can't identify it, can't pin it to a surgical table, can't photograph or record it? It's an extremely disturbing notion, and the same problem exists with the transporter in Star Trek. Unless somehow Federation science has identified the soul and knows how to convert it into energy, then every time someone beams down for the first time, you're killing them, disintegrating the original and reassembling a very good copy at the other end of the beam. James Blish introduced that disturbing argument in his book Spock Must Die, and it has haunted me ever since. It's proof, in a way, of how good Alien Earth is that in this review I'm not talking so much about the effects or the gore or the acting, which are all uniformly pretty good, by the way. I'm talking about the ideas and concepts the show raises. Think about how amazing that is. The fact that I'm doing this should illustrate how well all the other elements of the show are working in general. The acting is pretty damn good, folks. There really wasn't a weak actor on the show, although Boy Cavalier, the Elon Musk kind of guy, is really rather loathsome on the show. The woman who plays the main synth, Wendy, does a very good job as a child in an adult body. Raylan from Justified appears as an Ash-like synth and inhabits the role nicely. No one in the cast sticks out like a sore thumb, which is refreshing. But now, let's get to a few of the spoilers that we want to discuss. Some specifics about the plot that are a little problematic and maybe don't make much sense. At one point, a runaway spaceship carrying a cargo of, you guessed it, aliens, crash lands on Earth in the middle of Thailand, smacks into a building downtown. This is, plot-wise, the biggest screw-up of the whole show, in my opinion, kind of like the bus jumping the highways in Speed. You know how when a jet goes down anywhere in the world, much less in the middle of a crowded city, it's swarming with rescue vehicles, cops, reporters, almost instantly? You've seen what kind of damage can be done when a plane collides with a building. Well, how about a spaceship the size of a building colliding with a building? After all, this huge spaceship crashes downtown. The building it finally winds up sticking out of is largely okay. And so is the ship. Yeah, the building is banged up a bit, but it's still standing. The electricity seems to be on. And there's even a weird kind of party going on, with men in powdered wigs and Elizabethan costumes who don't even seem to realize that a giant spaceship has rammed into their building. The only responders I see are a small group of soldiers who are nearby exercising on a rooftop who witness the event and decide to pop on over and help out in the search and rescue. The more you think about it, the more of a problem it is. But this only really bothered me afterwards because I was so immersed in the atmosphere, I wasn't really analyzing the plot. I was just enjoying being there. And that's what good shows do. But there are admittedly flaws in retrospect.
Well, I imagined it this way. Ship crashes down. A lot of buildings were probably destroyed in its wake as it skids. The final one it skids to a halt at only gets tapped, dude. The nose of the ship is protruding into the building through which aliens and whatnot escape. It doesn't really bother me all that much.
But the lack of responders is kind of suspect, isn't it? Some have said, hey, the corporate cyborg radios ahead and says, look out, this ship is on a crash course for Earth, and it even collides with a platform in the moon's orbit, and yet everyone seems surprised by this event. But in my book, I can explain at least part of that, because the cyborg was almost certainly sending his warning signal to the corporation, not to any government. The corporation doesn't care about public safety. They just want to get in there quickly and retrieve any intellectual property, i.e. aliens. Also, when the ship crashes, Wendy, the child synth, wants to go check out the crash site because her brother is on the scene, and she wants to make sure he's okay. Well, that makes sense, but it makes almost no sense that Boy Cavalier, the boy genius in charge, would allow it. These transferred children synths are a valuable experiment. I mean, kids died to make them, so they're not easily replaced. If anything, I might grant that he would allow Wendy to go alone with Timothy Oliphant looking out for her just to keep her from rebelling and resenting him later, but sending all the rest of the kids along with Wendy? That's kind of crazy.
Look at his name, Doomcock. Boy Cavalier. He's a boy and he's Cavalier. This guy is an impulsive genius, not terribly mature himself. He gets an idea in his damn head, he just goes with it, even if it's stupid or crazy. I bought it because the dude is weird as shit. Plus the kids are in extremely strong android bodies. At one point you see one of them jump off a cliff and land on their feet. So they're much less likely to get hurt than normal people are.
Well, that's true. I don't know. Really, folks, these are kind of nitpicky problems. There are moments here and there that don't feel right. A guy who almost got eaten by an alien a few minutes later is looking at a collectible Reggie Jackson baseball in an apartment and doesn't mention the alien to people he meets. He's not gibbering or sweating or looking around frantically. He's standing around having a conversation about a baseball in what should be a panic situation. At the time, I dismissed that as shock, I guess, but shit like that is a problem. I guess for me, I was so immersed in and fascinated by the whole affair, none of the problematic moments were strong enough to pull me out of the show. Now, I've heard some criticisms of the show from folks I respect, folks who say that most of the characters in the show are unlikable, that it's kind of a cold show, there's no one to root for. Well, again, Ridley Scott has never been known as Mr. Warmth, folks. Alien and Blade Runner are pretty cold cinematic exercises. There are little character moments on the Nostromo, sure, but it's not like I was head over heels in love with any of those characters. Later in Aliens, I got personally much fonder of Ellen Ripley, but in the first one, I was riveted by my immersion in this futuristic environment because all the elements of the movie were working together harmoniously to create a compelling experience. Alien Earth does kind of the same thing, not as well, but it is in the same ballpark. I don't need to like a character to be interested in that character. If you do need that, your mileage may well vary on this show, but as for me, I like ideas. I like solid direction. I like atmosphere, interesting characters, even if they're not cuddly or genial. And I was unnerved by all the creepiness that pervades this show in a good way. I've also heard people bitch about the rock and roll music they blast over the credits at the end of the episodes, to which I say, get a life, people. It's just the damn end credits. Who gives a shit? Oh my gosh. If that's the worst you can say about it, I think it must be pretty damn good. I gotta say, kudos to Fox, kudos to Disney. This show has some definite promise. You guys surprised me this time out. Alien Earth to this point is sidestepping the whole aliens coming to Earth thing by introducing a lot of other engaging and disturbing concepts and plot lines involving, among other things, corporate intrigue, how advanced AI impacts a society, and the transfer of consciousness into android bodies. Now, admittedly, these are not new concepts, but the way they're treated, dramatized, and presented is at a high level of writing I didn't think existed anymore. I hope and pray this series doesn't devolve into stupid shit by the end of it. If it does, I will certainly call it to your attention, and we will be reviewing Alien Earth this Wednesday at 7 Central, 5 Eastern on Pop Culture Breakdown, where I suspect I may be on the defensive with the others on the panel, but I have to call it like I see it. This is the best Alien has been since Aliens, not counting comics or video games, of course. I didn't know they had it in them, folks. Be sure to check Alien Earth out for yourself. It's worthy of your attention. So far. From the center of the earth, this is Dictor Van Doomcock bidding you all, my friends, stay angry. Ha 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 ha.